Today's podcast is with Missouri cattle rancher and inspirational speaker Carey Portell. Carey became a speaker and blogger not only to purge and heal, but to encourage others down a positive path in life. She speaks about her 4-year recovery after becoming a survivor of a drinking and driving collision and her choice to overcome this tragedy. Her journey is compelling and humbling. Her passion to speak to others about the effects of drinking and driving actually puts her on the road more often, making her more susceptible to encountering another drunk driver. She faces her fears in the hopes to inspire and help others. In addition to speaking about the effects of drinking and driving, Carey also speaks on agriculture, healthcare, faith, and community. Here's my podcast with Carey Portell.
Hey, on my Travel Woods podcast today is Carey Portell. How are you doing today, Carey?
Great, thank you.
Excellent. I know you're a national speaker. You're a self-described cowgirl.
Yes.
Can you give us a little background on what you speak about and how it all got started?
Yep, it happened. Speaking has never been my forte. Actually, I avoided it at all costs because even as an adult, I was a pretty shy, introverted person. But circumstance made me change that. 8 years ago, I was hit by a drunk driver with 2 of my daughters and I, and having a 4-year recovery and at this point 12 surgeries made something kind of come out of me that sparked a passion that I feel like I need to, I guess, kind of like, one, tell people what my family and I went through, and then just to let them know, like, man, it is hard, it is so difficult, but, you know, stuff happens in life, and there's a way that you can get over it. It's not easy, but there is a way. So then I feel pretty passionate about that as well. So I feel like I need to share that with people.
You know, that's the main reason I wanted to have you on as someone that drives so much on the roads out, in California and in different states. It's something that I and my wife constantly think about. My wife comes from a standpoint of, she goes, I know you're a great driver. I just worry about the other people around you.
Yeah, exactly. I tell that to my kids all the time. I'm like, you guys remember? I'm like, we were 100% doing everything right that night. But it's not always yourself that you have to worry about.
Yeah, and that's, like I said, I've literally called in some drunk drivers, suspects, alleged, I don't know
right.
People that were driving completely erratic at night, on these lonely agricultural highways that I drive down for work. And I'm like, boy, you're either on your cell phone or you've had a few too many.
Yeah, something's not right. Better to call it in and just be on the safe side.
Oh yeah, they go from 55 up to 75.
Right.
They're playing bumper cars with the road bumpers,
Yeah, I've seen it.
So that was just such, and then to hear about your story and how much it's affected you. You're a cattle rancher, am I correct?
Yes, yeah, we have. Actually, we just went larger since this all happened to us, because it kind of put in perspective to my husband and I that, this was a certain type of dream for us, and we're pretty conservative anyway, and we always held back kind of branching out, and now we're just like, what the hell? Like, if it doesn't work, we'll just sell everything, but why are we going to wait any longer? So it just kind of put that, I guess, again, another perspective that don't, quit waiting, I guess, on things. If you're going to do it, do it. If it doesn't work, then you gave it your best and you tried, and let's just do it. And that's what we've been doing right now. So I think we're up to about 1,100 acres and around 140 cows right now, which is about as much as I can handle during the day until somebody else retires.
That I can't even imagine controlling 1,100 acres. Can't even imagine it.
Yeah. Luckily, we have 2 partners that help us, but I'm the only female in the group, and those 3 men work regular full-time jobs, and since I'm not able to work a normal job with my disabilities, I've taken on that load, which has helped me in many, many ways. But yeah, we're at the point where, okay, we can't do any more until somebody else doesn't need to work.
Yeah, exactly. How difficult has it been having the disability from the car crash and
Oh,
being a rancher?
it's been pretty rough, to be honest. It's, I mean, having that many surgeries in a short amount of time in 6 years, I was always recovering from something, or, always had a cast or something on my leg. So, in a sense, it's actually been part of my physical therapy, since I don't have to actually go into a therapist anymore. So it, with all the arthritis, and all the problems that you have with those type of injuries, it keeps me from seizing up every day and gets me, some sort of exercise. But I truly, like, every single time I step out with those cows, my number one concern is definitely safety. I mean, I can't run, I can't jump, I can't move fast. So I have to be conscious of where I'm at and where they're at all times.
Yeah. Yeah, man, I'm trying to visualize that and just going, okay.
I know. I think most people will be like, you know what, that is just really too much of a pain in the butt. I don't think I would deal with it. But I'm telling you what, when you've had everything ripped away from you, and I'm that type of person who I have to have some sort of accomplishment and purpose in my life. I mean, I just can't sit here on the couch and just say, well, I'm partially disabled. I just can't do anything today. I can't do it. It just drives me insane. So being able to go out and do something and feel like I'm contributing, other than housework, 'cause that got old really quick. So that's what farming's done for me.
You're like, I'd rather be on the ranch.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I don't know if it's irony, but it's interesting to me that now that you want to speak about what happened to you and the effect and how to get things done for the day, you actually are traveling more now as a national speaker than you probably were when you were just working on the ranch.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I was on the road a lot with having 4 kids, in every activity, but not the distance that I'm traveling now. I mean, now, like, driving 3 hours, to a presentation, seems like a short drive, a short trip, because I don't have to get on a plane or go across state lines or anything like that. But yeah, it's something that I think about often, that my car crash happened just a few miles from my house. And now that I'm traveling all over the place, it's like, man, this could happen again at any moment.
Yeah.
And, I'm more at risk and everything. I don't know, but you just can't let that fear stop you. And my passion for, trying to help somebody out there is much stronger than my fear of that happening again.
Exactly. And that's the beauty of what I think you're doing is you're actually putting yourself in harm's way more often now.
Yeah, more
by
often.
by trying to help more people.
Yeah. Yeah. It's something crazy.
I mean, you could have just gone back and been a ranch girl and done your thing and not put yourself out there.
Absolutely.
But like you just said, you never know when it's going to happen, whether you're a mile away from home or 300 miles away from home.
Right. Yep.
So.
Yep. And you just can't stop, let that stop you from living.
Exactly. And I don't know to what extent your disabilities are, but when you travel and you fly, I mean, do you now look at things differently in the sense of when my dad got his knee replaced and I had to put him in a wheelchair and I had to toot him around, all of a sudden I became very aware of the widths of hallways and steps and everything I was going to have to navigate him through that I never looked at before.
Yeah, absolutely. My whole family has had an eye-opening experience because, I mean, when I travel, I usually travel alone, and going to the airport is difficult. If it's a small airport, I can handle that pretty well, but I do use a wheelchair on a part-time basis. I can take around 3,000 steps a day before my legs stop working. So what I do is I try to split them up throughout the day so that I can walk most of the day, but sometimes it's just, I mean, you just can't. There's just, I'm an active person, so I do use a wheelchair. And when I travel by myself, it's so difficult to do that, to like use a wheelchair on your own, have luggage and all that kind of stuff. So I would have them come pick me up at the airport, with a wheelchair. And I'm telling you, like, by the time they actually showed up with a wheelchair to get me, I'm like, I have to get to the airport so early to actually make my flight, because apparently they're not like time sensitive. They're just like, I'll get there when I get there to pick you up, and I'm sitting there, and waiting forever, hoping that I'll make my flight. So it gets frustrating, is what it is. Because when you're not in that situation, you just don't think about how anxious that person is, and how frustrating it is to, I guess, travel in a different way than you ever used to.
Yeah, exactly. That's got to be frustrating. I mean, I get frustrated as an able-bodied person, so I can only imagine.
Oh yeah, in those airports. Oh my goodness. Especially, I mean, in most of the ones that I've always used, the St. Louis airport, and it's ridiculous. I mean, it's just so painful sometimes.
I like the way you use that. When you're traveling, how do you have children that are still in school? So I mean, how do you balance the work-life end of it?
I usually, at this point, we have one left in high school, and I have minimized, I guess, the presentations that take me away for more than a day.
Okay.
Just because I feel like once they're graduated and on their own, I have all that time that I can concentrate solely on, traveling and talking to people. But while they're in school, I do try to minimize that to a certain amount a year, because I know they're proud of me and what I do, but I also don't want them to look up at the stand and say, hey, Mom's gone again helping somebody else and she's not watching me. And that maybe that's just a parental guilt type thing. But I want to make sure that I am there while they need me. And when they start going out on their own, or like, okay, Mom, I'm good to go. You can go do your thing now. That's whenever I'll go full force.
Right. And that and it comes quicker than you think.
It does. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Our kids are very close in age, and every once in a while we get that feeling where we just look at them and we're like, how did we get here? They're still supposed to be like 8 and 9. And, we never thought that we would get to the age of 18 when they were out on their own, but here we are.
Oh yeah. And I'm in no hurry, but I know grandkids are coming around the corner at some point for me. I mean, kids are 23 and turning 25. So, next 5 years, hopefully.
Right.
But then I'm like, granddad, what? And now I have friends that are grandparents.
Yeah.
That I went to high school with, and I'm like, excuse me?
Your kids might hear your podcast and go, whoa, 5 years? Wait a minute.
Yeah, I know. It's totally up to you, girls. I'll throw that up. But, yeah, I mean, I always find that the balancing is difficult for most of the business travelers I talk to. And it might not be just the kids. It could be, the family situations that are going on. Friends, building a sense of community. And then, if you're gone 3 weeks a month, how do you build that sense of community when they don't know?
Yeah, I don't want to lose that.
Well, then a lot of the big business travelers that I talk to, how do you build friendships at home? Because I'm home for this week. And your friends go, hey, let's go out next week. You're, I can't, I'm gone. But how about the week after? Like, well, that's 2 weeks out. I'm not. Most people don't plan that way.
Right. Yeah, but you do. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm like, okay, we got date nights. I'm going to come home on the 17th or 18th of December. Okay, we'll do date night the 22nd. You know what I mean? It's like
that. It's so true. But you want to make sure. I mean, it sounds weird that you have to schedule in those special moments, but you don't want to miss them. Because life gets busy, and when you get home, you get so, I guess, caught up in the day-to-day. Like, I get this done while I'm home, and there's just no time. But if you make that point to say, no matter what, Friday night, it's just you and I.
Right.
That's how you keep that closeness, that intimacy and stuff. And it's like I just recently got kind of upset with myself because, it's only November, but the baseball schedule for spring has come out for my son. And I immediately put that into my calendar. And there's speaking events that I schedule a year in advance. And there's one week that I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm like, it's a busy week and I'm probably going to miss 3 games. And it's just, I mean, it's already killing me and I've got like 6 months to go, you know?
Exactly.
But I want to be there, and and he's totally okay with it, but it's the only 3 games I'll miss of that season. But I'm like, I'm not going to be there.
The craziest thing I did, I was in Northern California, which is about a 7-hour drive, and my daughters were playing in a lacrosse game, and they were playing their rival on like a Wednesday, and I was going to be up there all week, so I literally kind of moved my appointments around. Where I got done with my morning appointment, I drove all the way down, watched them play, and then I drove back up that night and had appointments the next day.
Oh, wow.
So I did about 14 hours worth of appointments or driving for a game. And it happened to be, unfortunately, that my youngest daughter tore her ACL in that game.
Oh, wow.
So, but at least I was there to pick her up off the field and carry her. Yeah.
Right.
Because then I started thinking, man, if I wouldn't have been there, she would have tore her ACL either way. But that would have been the parent guilt that you were talking about.
Exactly.
So we all try to make the sacrifices, and just kind of make it work. Because I have to be on the road to be able to afford them to be in school.
Right. I know. It's a double-edged sword.
Yeah, exactly. What do you? What's the best way for people? Like, so you're not going to do a lot of far out speaking engagements for the next short while, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think next year so far I have 3 or 4 out of state presentations, and I tried to schedule those in, I guess, the times of year that he's not active in sports, so it's not such a big deal. But, I travel Missouri a lot because a lot of those I can get back. I actually, because of where I'm located, I'm pretty central Missouri. I can go pretty much anywhere in Missouri, and it may be a pretty long day, but I can get back the same day.
Right.
So then, he'll graduate in 2 years. So then after that, I'll probably, whatever comes my way, I'll probably take.
Yeah. I know the feeling. Wait, is there? What's the best way for people to reach out to you now?
Probably my website, and it's just my name. It's careyportell.com. But then I have, an email sign-up list on there. I have a form you can contact me directly, and then I'm sure my phone number is on there as well. All my contact information. But my website's probably the best. They can kind of get an idea of my personality from there because I've uploaded a few videos. I've had some articles about farming with disabilities on there, and they can just get an overall view of who I am.
Sure. And are you on Instagram and that type of thing
as well? Yeah. All the social medias, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I don't like being on all of them, but you have to be because in our area, Facebook is huge for now, like I call it the old people, my generation. We kind of took that over. But all the schools that I go to, I mean, those kids are all on Instagram. So that's how we connect is Instagram. Probably more the cities are Twitter. Twitter's not big out here, but I noticed like in St. Louis or other places, Twitter's the big one. So I've got a presence on all of them. I would say Instagram and Facebook are my biggest.
Okay, well, I'll make sure to put those links into the description so people can find you a little easier. I so appreciate the time, but I really appreciate getting to know you a little bit. And
well, thank you. Yeah.
And hopefully the other business travelers that are out there that think, I'll just have a little sip of a drink here or there before I head over to the hotel. Hopefully they think about it a little bit more.
Yeah. And I'm not against drinking at all, and I definitely do not give that, that thought during any of my presentations at all. It's just what you do afterwards. I mean, if you're like, maybe I had one too many, don't ever think, I think I can make it, because that's the time when you won't.
Right.
It may not happen the first, second, third time, but at some point it always does. And you would hate to be the cause of something that, like in my situation, it ruins someone else's life as well as your own, and you just don't want to be that person.
Exactly. And it's really that simple. I mean,
it is, yeah.
I kind of get mocked. Like if I'm not driving, I'll drink. I have no problem. As long as and for me, I also want to know who's going to drive me home, whether it's an Uber. If my friend's drinking, then I won't drink, even if he goes, I'm only gonna have one or two. I'm done. I'll be clean then.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
I get mocked. I kind of get they look at if I'm driving and I don't even have a glass of wine, they look at me like, oh, what are you going through your 12 steps or something? And I'm like, no. If you want to drive and not drink, I'll drink all night. But
right, because you have someone responsible that's helping you, and my husband and I do that all the time. Like if we go somewhere, it's like, are you going to drink, some tonight? And then the other one just won't. And it's not like you go out and you're like just going to get plastered every time you do it. It's just at this point, having like 2 glasses of wine in a short amount of time, you're probably going to blow the limit at this point, or something like that. So you just don't realize how much it affects you. And then when you get in that situation, you would just rather be that person that didn't take that chance.
Carey is a huge advocate of agribility. Their vision is to enhance quality of life for farmers, ranchers, and other agricultural workers with disabilities so that they, their families, and their communities continue to succeed in rural America. You can check them out at their website, www.agribility.org, for more information.
Yeah, it's funny. I actually, I think it was my first year at the NFR. We went to a club that was definitely not my style, but we were in a hallway and this guy walks past us and you're just like in awe, and you look at each other and we're like, that was Cowboy Troy, wasn't it? Yeah, it was. And you're like, how awesome.
The best story I can tell you about Troy and what kind of person he is, he comes to our booth every year to sign autographs. So I set up the table and make sure he's got the slicks to sign and get them all set up. And we had a scheduling conflict where he wanted to show up early, but I still had somebody else there. So anyways, I think Patrick Smith was still signing autographs. And so we kind of worked out, and Troy's like, well, I'll just hang out for a minute. Don't worry about it. And I go, okay. He goes, what do you want me to do? And I'm like, I don't know, stand there and look pretty. He goes, no, put me to work. I go, all right, I'll go in the boot department. And he started selling boots for us.
Oh, my gosh.
And then, some people recognized him, some people didn't. And some people were like, is that Cowboy Troy selling boots? And I go, yeah.
Exactly.
He worked at
Cavender's.
Cavender's.
You don't believe your own mind, yeah.
He worked at Cavender's when he was in I think, college, and selling cowboy boots. So
no kidding.
And he worked at Foot Locker, so he just started selling. And whether people recognize him or not, he was like, those look really good on you. Let's do it. And he started pulling sizes and all that. I'm like,
he knew exactly what to do.
I'm like, I have Cowboy Troy selling cowboy boots for me. I had Low Cash is one of the groups that we work with.
Oh yeah.
And I had a girl trying on some boots, and I said, hey, because I'm the one that has to set up the table and all that for the endorsees, and I go, hey, give me a break. Can you give me a minute? I'll give you a couple pairs to try on, but I have to set up the table. Low Cash is coming to sign autographs. She goes, they're not coming here, are they? I go, yeah, they'll be sitting right there. And Chris and Preston come in, and the girl's like, oh my God, I'm going to see them in 2 weeks. They were performing at a festival in California, and I go, well, if Preston and Chris sign your boots, will you buy them? And she's like, yeah. So they helped me sell a pair of boots, so they signed the boots right there.
Yeah.
And they're good guys too. I remember before their big hits and all that, they would just sit and talk to you. Now when they come, there's a crowd, but
right,
again,
yeah.
They're just normal guys too. And all the Cowboys, world champs or not, are super friendly.
Yeah, that's what I liked about the second time we went to the NFR. We stayed at MGM, and we didn't realize that's where a lot of the Cowboys stay, but it was just inundated with them. And everywhere you went, we were walking right beside them, and you just go, hey, and they're like, hey, how you doing? And I'm like, I I love it. I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you go to a thing, you look next to you, and there's Alan Taylor, and I played crafts with Brittany Posey.
Yeah.
And her new husband, and they're everyone. That's the one thing I like about the Western industry is, like if you see Patrick Smith or even Trevor or any of the big names outside of NFR, they're just normal people.
They're just regular cowboys.
Yeah, you just go to dinner with them, and only at NFR are people like, oh my God, can I get your autograph? But 355 days a year, they're just walking around being normal people.
Right.
So,
right. I love that they can keep that, and I know that they're really popular in a very niche type market because not everybody would know who that person is. But those of us who are in that kind of category, to us, we're like, oh my God, like Trevor Brazil. I mean, he's won however many competitions or events in different categories. Not only is he team roper, but he cast rope as well.
Yeah.
Well, right, and all that. And to us, we're like, oh my God.
I know, and then I saw. I think it was either an Applebee's or a Chili's in Salinas during the Salinas Rodeo, and he was just sitting over there with some people eating.
I like it.
Yeah, that's
the way I would always be, because I never I am humbled so much every day. It never lets me get a chance to get a big head. Because I'm like,
well, yeah, I mean,
I could be like really cool one moment, and the next moment, I mean, because I have to calculate my steps so much, I would walk out of a restaurant and I would eat the pavement, and I'd be like, okay, thanks God for the little smack up the side of the head,
Well, yeah, it's interesting because where I live in Los Angeles, I've seen celebrities around, and for the most part, they're super friendly. And I always look at it when they're not. I go, everyone has bad days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. I mean, you think about yourself. Of course, I have bad days, but luckily I'm by myself most of the time.
Yeah, and when I'm having a bad day and go to the grocery store, people don't stop me and ask me for my picture. You know what I mean? It's like I can just have my bad day, go to the store, get what I need, and come home. And so if I try and get a sense of there's only a few people I've actually stopped to say hi to or thank them. But most of the time when I see people, I just let them do their thing. I for example, I saw Gary Busey 2 weeks ago, and I've been a fan of Gary Busey, but so I'm like, screw it. I went up and said hi to him real quick, and he was nice.
That's good. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure at some point you're just like, man, I just want to be able to walk, from here to there without not being interrupted. But knowing that they're they're that type of personality, they have to have some kind of tolerance, I guess, for.
My wife and I were at a ballet place and waiting for our car, and right behind us was Ted Danson and Mary Steenburgen.
Huh.
And I'm like, hold on, they're not out in public. You know what I mean? So I just let them be. I didn't even turn around and say hi or anything.
Have that respect.
But with Gary, we were actually going to at this comedy store out on Sunset Boulevard. So we were out in public, and he was literally on basically on the side of the street just talking to people. So I didn't mind saying hi to him.
In that situation.
But at the rodeo, it's funny. One of our team ropers came in, and he was kind of hiding in our backstock area. And I go, "What are you doing, man?" And he goes, I need to get through these calls and emails without being interrupted.
Oh, right.
Because if he just stood in our booth, people would be coming up to him asking for his autograph.
Yeah, exactly.
So he wasn't trying to be rude, but yet he had to get some work done.
Yeah, I could totally respect that because, I mean, my husband and I are private people, and whenever I started, going public with my recovery and saying, I had to open up that part of me a lot, and it was very hard at first because I'm like, oh gosh, I'm just not used to people seeing into my life this much. But if you don't let them see certain moments, vulnerable moments, that's what inspires people, to think more. And it was definitely a challenge in the beginning to let people see inside, I guess.
And I'll tell you, that's what people, like you just said, that's what people want to see.
They do. Yeah. Well, they want those real moments that, hey, you're just like me, and if you can overcome this, then I can overcome what I'm going through. And
yeah, not every day is peaches and creams, and you just, oh, you'll be fine. Think positive. It's like, obviously I know that, but there's still days.
Exactly.
You know, when you did your 3,000 steps before 11 o'clock, and you still got the rest of the day to go through.
Yeah. I mean, there's many days where I'm flipping off the world, but luckily I do it in private and don't have a camera in my face all the time. Because, I mean, you can be as tolerant as you want as your situation, but there are some days it just takes you off, and you're like, screw this. I'm like, why do I have to deal with this? And then, you know, I'm like, shut up. I'm like, there's nothing you can do about it, so move on. I have to be my own best mentor, I guess.
Exactly. But yeah, you're inspiring so many people, so it's a neat thing to see. I mean, you know, it's a sense of purpose outside of just being a rancher. It's kind of like what I'm doing with.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it gives me, like, you know, you start getting really deep after something like this happens, and the gentleman who hit me passed away on impact, and so I have this whole deal of like, okay, so why did he die and I didn't? What am I supposed to be doing with this now? Because I'm not just here to just go through life on a boring daily basis. What am I supposed to be doing?
Yeah.
And I went through a couple of years of that, and you know, I feel, yeah, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. It's like, it's a lot for the speaking. The first year was definitely, I think, for me. And
exactly.
kind of a purge and heal process, and now I am concentrating on everybody else, you know, that's sitting there listening to me. So definitely gives me a sense of purpose.
That's what we all need, I think. You know, for me, it's also just sharing with others. I mean, I coach sports for. I started thinking about it, you know, 2, 8, 10, about 15 years. I've been a coach, mainly with my daughters, but some years just as a coach. And it's always a sense of trying to help others.
It is. I look back and I'm like, I think that's always been my purpose in whatever job that I had, but now it's just like so apparent. Like it's, you know, before it was just, I did it here and there in small ways. And now I'm just like, I don't know. I'm just like hit you in the gut type of purpose.
Right. Well, you're doing it, and I truly appreciate the time that we got to talk.
Well, I thank you, Pete.
And if you ever need any Western apparel, please hit me up.
Okay.
I never make money off friends and family, so.
Well, I will, when we get to come back to the NFR, because I know we will, believe me, I'll be calling your number saying, tell me where you're at, what booth you're at, we're going to meet in person.
Well, and if you need to, you know, the one thing I always do, because it doesn't cost us anything, our company, we book, I'm trying to think, it's about 1,600 room nights that we book with 100 people for 16 days.
Oh, so my gosh.
We get a very good rate with MGM. So what I can offer, and I do this for my cousins flying in from Texas. One of my stores is going one weekend, but I basically save it to them. I can reserve you a room at my cost.
Well, that would be totally awesome. My husband would be like, can we go next year? And I'm like, I won't be able to miss my son's basketball. I'll have to make sure I'm there.
Well, and we always stay at the MGM. Or we have for the last 8 years. Okay. So you're right in the heart of it. And like I said, it doesn't cost me anything. It just allows you to not have to pay $150 to $200 a night.
Right. Yeah, we definitely surf the web for the best deal.
Yeah. So, but if you want me to put you on the reservation, just shoot me a call and let me know. And it doesn't cost me anything. So.
Well, I appreciate that. I know I will take you up on that.
Please do. And I'll probably put your episode up in about 3 weeks, right before Christmas.
Okay.
Just because I have one for tomorrow, and then I've got a couple other already in the pipeline. But
okay. Now, do you have, like, is it, do you upload it to each social media individually, or do you have, like, God, I'm trying to think of that last one. It was Female Farmer Project that I did, and it was like, I forget what site a lot of those podcasts are on. Because I didn't know if I could like share it to my Google Plus. I mean, I don't have very much traffic on my Google Plus, but I just always put it up there anyway.
Yeah, I use a site called Anchor.
Okay.
Anchor.fm. And when I upload it, I record it separately. I don't use their program to record the podcast. But what I do is I put it onto my computer. I'll edit it through my software, and I upload it into Anchor. When I do that, Anchor automatically puts it out on iTunes, Google Podcasts.
Okay.
Stitcher. There's about 8 different platforms that they automatically send it out to.
Okay.
And so it goes out there, and then I'll put a notification on my Instagram page, my Facebook page, and my LinkedIn page, and my Twitter.
Okay. Perfect.
So, yeah, once I get everything put together, it goes pretty easy. But
yeah, just the pre-work as in anything.
Yeah, and having a job and a wife and kids and
exactly all that other stuff.
Exactly. So yeah, then the thing I need to get set up for next year, my goal in the first quarter is my website. So I can drive everybody to my website.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's something I need to work harder on is instead of making all these individual posts, I need to keep driving them to my website so that gets traffic.
Well, and
there's so many things that you have to think about, like marketing wise, that you're just like, man, I didn't know all this went with what I was going to do.
Here's what I and you might already know this. I didn't know this. I understood the theory, it made perfect sense when I was told it. But basically, my podcast won't get a lot of search because it's on the audio only.
Right.
So unless I put it in a blog area, because Google does keyword searches. So my audio, when I put it up there, all of our conversation is just an audio file. So Google doesn't do it. So I'm not being found on a Google search.
Right. Yeah.
Without having words. So I need to have a blog, whether it's just a transcription of the podcast, or a connect on a website.
Something.
For people to find it. So that's why I need to get the website, because I could do all these podcasts, but no one's ever going to, unless they're specifically looking for the Travel Wins or Carey Portell
or whoever you're interviewing.
They won't find it unless I put it in a searchable way. And that's the SEO, the search engine optimization.
Oh, all that stuff. I am not interested in that stuff at all, but you have to, know something about it.
Well, and that's, God, so true. Because the one thing I was just told was I should do everything with video. Because if I record my podcast using video, then I can put it up on YouTube automatically. I can strip the audio out off the video and put it on my podcast platform.
Podcast, yeah.
So
and there's a lot of them that do that. They just video themselves talking, so that there's something to look at. Right.
And the problem, the good thing is I'm passionate about what I'm talking about. The bad thing is I'm talking to people that travel for business, basically. So they're always in and out. It's hard to get a hold of them just on the phone, much less for them to be set up to do a video.
Right, sit down with you. Yeah.
So.
Well, I encourage you to keep with it. People are getting more and more into podcasts, and I actually listen to podcasts. I have to soak my joints a lot. I do that a lot of times instead of taking a narcotic. And so when I'm in the bathtub, I set the iPad up and then close my eyes, and then I listen as I soak. And that's when I catch up on podcasts and stuff.
I have no problem doing it, because I already got notification from somebody in Brazil. They actually sent me a screenshot of them listening to my podcast in Brazil, and all the words
fantastic.
Her radio was in Portuguese.
Oh,
and I was like, wow, that's cool.
That is cool.
Like, how do you reach somebody in Brazil without trying?
Yeah, exactly. You're like, who shared that where they could see that? That's pretty neat.
Yeah. So that's the exciting part. And I get to talk to people like you. They're, how else would I told my wife, I'm like, why else would all these great people want to talk to me? Hey, I'm a boot salesman. Would you talk to me for half an hour? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I get to learn more. I get to share all the information. It's all for free at this point. I'm not monetizing it, so you know, it's just cool. Just trying to give back. Just trying to share.
Well, we will meet one of these days. I promise you, I would like to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know if I ever get to Missouri again, I have to stop by the girls, the sales reps who lives in Fredericktown, because she actually bought one of my photos and had it blown up.
No kidding.
It's in her living room, yeah. So she's like, "You got to come." I'm like, I'm not driving all the way to Missouri to see my photo. But yeah, next time I get into Kansas City or even St. Louis.
Yeah, St. Louis would probably be closer, I think. I can't remember.
I'm like you, though. I mean, for me, an hour and a half drive to San Diego is not a big deal. 2-hour drive, it's like,
yeah.
As long as there's no traffic. I flew into Bismarck, North Dakota, and I had to go about 100 miles west of Bismarck. It's the only airport in North Dakota. And I'm like, screw it. I drove all the way down to Rapid City because I wanted to see Mount Rushmore.
Yeah. So you're like, you're in your mind, you're like, man, I'm so close. I'll never probably get this close again. And other people are like, you drove how long?
Yeah. It took me about 300 miles out of the way. Total round trip. But I'm like, you know what? I got to drive through Sturgis. Non-bike rally week, so that was cool. Right. I got to see Rapid City. I got to see Sioux Falls. I went, and then seeing Mount Rushmore. It's once in a lifetime.
It is, yeah.
So, I do the same thing. Like when I have to travel in to help set up a store, I'll look and see what's around within an hour and a half, 2-hour drive. If there's something I want to see, I'll try and book in some time. But
yeah, I always have that intention. Sometimes my stamina is not very good. So I end up pooping out a lot of the time, but I sure try.
Well, that's all you can do anyways. I have to do the same thing. In LA, what time is it now? 11? So if I were to leave here, it'd take me about an hour to get out of LA proper. If I leave in 2.5, 3 hours, it'll take me 2.5 hours. So for us, it's all traffic. It's just
right. Yeah, the traffic. Yeah.
21 miles to get to West LA is either 45 minutes or an hour and a half to 2 hours.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. For 20 miles. Yeah.
Yeah, you talk about patience. I guess if you're just in that area, you just know. So it's just like you just accept it.
I try and tell people, it's like, I go, okay, go down, when you're going down the street, drive 15 miles an hour. And then do that for the next 2 hours. Right. You cheat yourself. If you're, so I understand it's all what time you're going to leave and how you got to get things done.
Right. Yeah.
Well, good luck with your computer, your hard drive.
Thank you. Yes, I am going to cross my fingers. They can get the stuff that I really need. The stuff that you really want is never the stuff that you just randomly find. So
yeah,
we'll see. Yeah,
well,
but I appreciate you asking me to do the interview. Every little bit that exposure that I get helps me somewhere else. So that's awesome for you to do that for me.
I appreciate you spending the time with me. So it's a mutual thing.
Yeah, you're welcome, and enjoy. I know your time at the NFR as much as you can.
Just try and focus on spending time with the people instead of the actual work. So.
Right. No,
all righty.
All righty. Thank you, Pete.
Okay, thanks, Carey. Have a good weekend.
Okay. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.